You sure you're ready to rock?
Yes.
She's so far away. Guys, can you tell how far away she is from me? She's like, so I could just look at you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the highly trained and wildly unfiltered healthcare podcast. It is your no BS podcast to everything healthcare related. I am your host, Dr. Pete, and my permanent co-host and physical therapist extraordinaire, clinical genius, Keri Moran, hanging out with me here.
Hello, everybody.
Why do you still get embarrassed? Episode 4, you're still
So
embarrassed?
now this is one where my genius will come out. This is one that our talk about insurances. This is where I am comfortable
Keri,
saying that.
I can't even believe. First of all, you haven't even watched yourself. I can guarantee you that. Have you watched a single one?
No, I have not watched one.
She won't even watch herself. Come on. Keri, you are fucking amazing at this.
It's just talking into a microphone.
That's what it is. But no, you're not talking into a microphone because that would not make this fun. This is like us having a conversation as if nobody was listening to us.
Of course.
And you're sitting there being incredibly interesting, incredibly informative. Your questions that you had with Dr. Kim, I'm telling you, stop it.
She was easy. So now it's just Pete and I on this one. So I'm
and look how far away she got. So
I moved further away.
She just moved further away 1 second ago. It's insane.
He's so loud.
I am loud. All right, so here's what you do. You stick that mic, eat that mic, and I'll put the mic over here.
You put the mic
I still
there.
show up in the
and
red.
And I'm going to need an earplug right here.
You can put earplug. Here, hold on. I have this. Here.
I'm not using headphones.
Okay. Now she looks like a podcaster over there. She doesn't want to mess up her hair over there. So.
Oh, yeah, my permanent bun that I have here.
Hey-o. No, all right, so she actually already gave you a little sneak peek as to what we want to talk about today. And it's the reason why we are the highly trained, but more importantly, wildly unfiltered podcast, because we want to get into what is the actual nitty gritty and some stuff that you guys may know about, but also some stuff that you may not know about, and you really should. So that was my intro.
Absolutely. So I think what we wanted to kind of go into is how more people are complaining about how much they are paying for their health care, whether it's an individual plan or a family plan, if it's covered by their job, but now they have to also pay into it. I mean, even as much as like the union teacher plans that back in the day were all free, it was a benefit of being a teacher. You know, your starting salary was never $100,000, but you had great benefits summers off. And now that is no longer the case anywhere. Right. And people are paying much more for their health insurance. And I think the thought is that we are getting paid much more for our services.
We are making the big bucks over here.
So all of the money that, when you're seeing, you're going to your doctors or you're going to your physical therapy, chiropractic, acupuncture, the ear doctor, that we're the ones getting all the money, because that would be the only reason why your healthcare costs would go so high. But that is not the case. And it's, very different than auto insurance. Like your auto insurance typically goes up because you were in an accident. But your healthcare insurance just keeps going up whether you use it or not. And like I said, the thought is that that's because the rates of the providers that you're going to are going up. So one of the things we always talk about in Bergen County, like in every area, you have your fair rate schedule.
Fair
your
health.
Fee schedule.
Yep.
Because we live in Bergen County, New Jersey, our rents and cost of living are a lot higher here. So our fee schedule is allocated the way it is. We don't make up our fee schedule. Our fee schedule is what it is for this area. We, bill out what we do for our patients, and then these insurance companies decide to send it off to different negotiators and come back and decide to pay us, maybe 1/10
pennies of what we bill out. On the dollar.
And then we have a whole team of people that we're now paying constantly on top of the providers that we pay to treat these patients and go after this money from their insurance companies. So I always compare it to hair salons. Pete always hears me reference hair salons because,
as you can tell how much I absolutely need that. Can you please take a little bit off of the nothing I have, please?
But when you go there, can you say well, now I have a lot less hair. So would my haircut be 50% off compared to what it was 4 years ago? They would laugh at you, right? There's no discounting. There's no negotiating. Their haircuts are $45 a haircut, whatever, and you choose to tip. So
I'm sorry, your
that's the
haircuts are $45 a haircut? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
No, mine are not. I'm talking about men's.
Okay.
Men's. I mean, I think because my son is 14 now and my husband, they go to like a men's barber shop. And
Yes.
depending on where they go, it's anywhere from $35 to $50, depending on what hair salon you go to and also what stylist you see.
Right.
So like what you talk about, like your new person right out of barber school is going to cut your hair, they're going to get one rate compared to a level 5 stylist that would be at a salon. In our world of medicine, none of that matters. Like whether it's neurosurgery, if it's PT, chiropractic, your
cardiology, radiology, no matter what medical specialty you're in, there's no amount of experience or anything like that you're going to get paid more for.
No, and you might choose, you might say, hey, listen, for this, I'd like to go out of network because I want to make sure. I don't want to just get some guy that's in network, that whatever. But even with that, still, that out-of-network doctor can get prorated by the insurance company and get pennies on the dollar for what they're doing. So we were saying how, when you go to the hair salon, say as a female, I go to the hair salon and I get my hair cut.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Colored, highlighted, and blown out. I'm looking at anywhere from $300 to $350 easily. Your wife goes to New York City for her. Puts in hair extensions. Sorry, Cal. Boy. So yours might be a little higher on that end. But I'm saying, and then if I choose to go with a hairstylist that I like to see because I've been using her for 10 years, she's now this level 5 therapist, stylist, how you would call it, versus somebody who just came out of school who maybe her color highlight might be $250. There's no negotiating on that. I can't go up and say, hey, listen, I think that the rate of $350 is really expensive. Is there any way you would consider taking 60% off the top of that?
Right.
But that's what happens to us in the medical field.
That's what happens to us in the medical field. We're getting negotiated sometimes by the patients, but most of the time, of course, by the insurance companies. And again, we've been out for 20-something plus years.
Yeah.
And I have associates who have gotten out this year, and we are all going to get paid the exact same amount. And the problem is that we are seeing less and less money coming from the insurance companies now.
Yes.
Not more. And the cost of living has gone up. The cost of everything has gone up. And my rent goes up. As you said, I have to take on more and more people because we are fighting the insurance companies more and more. The salaries
How about your PTs? I mean, when I went to school for PT, it was a 4.5-year program. I graduated with an insane amount of credits. It was 160 credits in 4.5 years. But Quinnipiac back then was $22,000 to $25,000, which for my parents was a stretch back then. Most of my friends were in school for 8 to 15. Now that same program is a 6 or 7-year program, depending on you do the accelerated 3 and 3 or 4 and 3. It's a doctorate program. It's the only way somebody can be a PT, and that school's $85,000 a year. So these kids are coming out with hundreds of thousands in debt if their parents couldn't afford to pay all that.
Yeah.
And yet they're being rated by these insurance companies that they're making less money from PT than I was making when I first started.
That's correct.
In 1998.
I don't know another industry in the world right now that has taken pay cuts. All we have been hearing about is inflation, right?
Yep.
And I mean, that's the thing. So the cost of everything from eggs and gas and everything that goes up. I don't know another profession in the world that's taking pay cuts. And I can tell you the entire medical profession has taken pay cuts. Medicare across the board has been reducing payments 3.5%, 4% every single year over the last 6-7 years or so.
Yeah, they increase the patient's responsibility, so the deductibles go up to the beginning of the year, but the reimbursement rates
have gone down.
Consistently go down single year.
And that's happening with the major medical insurances as well. And again, if you don't know the difference between in-network and out-of-network, a brief overview of that is that a doctor who becomes in-network signs a contract with the health insurance, and the health insurance company then puts them in the book and, in essence, refers patients to that doctor because they're in-network. And that referral program, because the insurance company is pushing patients their way, the doctor's going to get a reduced rate that they have agreed to. All right? Then you have an out-of-network doctor. An out-of-network doctor does not have a contract with the insurance company at all. And they're not in their book. They're not anything like that. But they're not necessarily trying to get patients from the book because either they don't have to or they don't want to. They may perhaps be better providers. Some of you are more upper echelon type of hospitals. For example, hospital for special surgery.
Or concierge type of
practice don't require. And so there's no contract with the insurance company, but patients have some out-of-network benefits. They'll have deductibles associated with that. They may have co-insurances associated with that. And what's going on is now, somehow, some way, even with these out-of-network policies or out-of-network providers, even though we don't have a contract, they're getting capped with regards to the amount of reimbursement that the provider can get. And so what that means now is that the patient is now paying more in premiums. They have much higher deductibles than they ever had before, which means you have to pay that out before the insurance company is responsible for a single penny. That's on top of your premiums. Then you have a co-insurance on top of that, right? And all this is costing more money. The insurance companies are covering less at the doctor's offices, right? They're covering less services and they're reimbursing less per service. Yep. And what is going on here and how this is all possible? And this is kind of the discussion.
How do you stay alive and how does the medical field stay alive?
Correct.
You know, obviously when, bigger doctors are working with hospitals, affiliated with hospitals, they get the rates that are much better because they're affiliated with a bigger enterprise. Where your smaller, mom and pop shops and stuff like that, Kelly and Pete have had this practice for 18 years. It's much harder to stay alive because we're not affiliated with these big conglomerates, right? So one of the biggest things, if you're ever interested in learning more about your benefits, the biggest hoax are your self-funded plans, because your self-funded plans are your company says, hey, we're going to offer really good benefits to our employees.
Yep.
And either we're going to pay for them or they're going to pay a portion, but our patients have really good benefits. And when we go to verify their benefits benefits actually look really good on paper. We bill it out, and all of a sudden, for something that we billed an evaluation for, the patient was in our office for an hour, we did strapping, all of this manual treatment, educated them in a home exercise program, and we're seeing $69.42. Okay? But we can see what the insurance company, what we build out is actually what they pull from the business's self-funded account. So just say on a bill that's an eval and all that stuff, say it's $660. The insurance company will pull that from the self-funded account from the business to fund themselves to pay us the claim. So now, according to the business, they think that we got paid $660.
They bailed out $660. We allowed $660.
Yep.
Here's the $660, right?
And then that insurance company will send it out to a second and sometimes even a third reduced marketing type of agency will continue to...
Yeah, third-party administrators.
Yes, and they'll negotiate that claim.
So a lot of people have heard TPAs. If you haven't heard of a TPA or a third-party administrator, I can tell you one of the bigger ones, not on the medical provider side, but on the pharmacy side, is a pharmacy benefits manager, or PBMs. This has been in the news a lot lately, right, with the government trying to fight with these PBMs. But this is the same type of thing. There is a third party involved that is hired by the insurance companies to look at these bills, whether it is self-funded, meaning the company is funding it itself, or they're purchasing policies on the market, which means it's like one of the major carriers that are coming in and doing it. They're looking at these bills and they're trying to negotiate or reprice them.
Yep.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So then we're seeing $69. The company thinks that their employee's daughter went to therapy and they got this care and it cost this. That's all they know. And then we're actually seeing $69. So who's making that money?
Who's making that money, right? So we billed out $660. We ended up getting $69. Could you not have made it $60 to make this easy for me? Let's say $60, please. So the other $600 goes to the third-party administrator who negotiated the bill, quote unquote, successfully.
And they split it on a commission base between the insurance company that is holding the case and the third-party negotiator that ended up downsizing that bill so much that they made money. The company lost money.
The company gave the $660. They thought the provider gets $60, and the insurance company and the third-party administrator get the $600, and they split that.
Yeah.
You want to throw another caveat in there. a lot of these third-party administrators are owned by the insurance companies.
Yeah.
They're owned by the insurance companies. So a huge conflict of interest here and everything like that. But the reason why we're trying to point this out is because the cost of healthcare has nothing to do with the delivery of healthcare anymore. The people who are providing the healthcare are now getting significant reductions in their reimbursement. The fact that somebody who is not involved in any part of the healthcare delivery or anything like that, there's not the company that's paying for it or the person providing the healthcare, is making all the money on a claim. That's where all of your health insurance dollars are going.
Yeah.
All right? It is almost sickening that people don't know about this, and they want it. Why is my healthcare going up 28%?
Yeah.
Now, this year, or I should say last year, I know for a fact that with one of the local self-funded plans here in New Jersey, there was one real significant impact to premiums. There was one significant impact to premiums. Do you remember what that was?
No.
Ozempic.
Oh, yes.
Ozempic.
Yes.
Ozempic and Wegovy. So these new weight loss drugs, these, the GLPs and everything like that, the insurance companies knew that so many more people were going to be taking these medications. It was going to be costing them so much more money that they had to raise their premiums just to cover the difference in that, right? So that may or may not make sense to me. Right. I could say I can understand that. But for somebody's insurance premiums to go up, not because they're paying for a medication, not because they're paying for a healthcare service, only because the administrative fees have gone up. Yeah. Is what is really disgusting with the healthcare. Well,
because, again, you go back to auto insurance, right? If you drive a hoopty of a Honda that's a 1986, and you have no bad record, your insurance is pennies, right?
Right.
If you drive a Ferrari red and you're a 24-year-old male and you have 2 tickets, your insurance is through the roof. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. You're high risk. You're driving a more expensive car. What doesn't make sense is the way healthcare does it.
That's correct. Right. And listen, I can get angry with hospitals. Listen, everything is a business these days. I understand that. But for a hospital, if you've ever been to the hospital, we do a lot of car accidents in our office. So people go to the hospital in an ambulance. They get x-rays done. They want to make sure that they have no fractures. They get whiplash, everything like that. And they're prescribed Motrin at the hospital, ibuprofen. Maybe 800 milligrams, a high dose of ibuprofen. When you go to CVS, you can get, 120, 200 milligram pills for $2.39.
Yeah.
Okay? At the hospital, for 2 ibuprofen, you're paying $112 for that. Now, is there a lot of hands that the ibuprofen has to pass through? Yes. So, if you can get 120 pills for $2 and something cents at CVS, can you justify $20 or $30 to the hospital?
Yeah, in the hospital.
I think I can justify that. There's a lot of hands to have to get involved and make sure everything is done correctly. Fine. But $112, right? And you could take that across the board with the delivery of a lot of healthcare. And the problem is, again, that is not going to the people who are providing the service, providing the medication, providing anything. That's all going to administrative, third-party administrators, healthcare administrators, healthcare CEOs,
well, I know we were like the first to really get hit. Chiropractic, physical therapy. We're kind of like the bottom feeders of healthcare.
Sure.
Acupuncture, occupational, but stuff like that. We were the first to get really hit with some of the caps and the real big decreases in reimbursement. But then, when we were trying to talk to some of our orthopedics and spine doctors and stuff like that, wow, this is happening to us, then they started seeing it happen to them as well. And, I remember one of a pediatric neuro physician was saying how would I justify, and this is a terrible thing in my position to say, that I am going to be woken up in the middle of the night, taken out of my bed, taken away from my family for an emergency brain surgery on a 3-year-old child, okay, in a hospital where when the insurance was done ripping his bills to shred, he got paid $1,100. How do you justify that? And a neurosurgeon, as you know, the malpractice for a neurosurgeon is through the roof. I mean, I remember seeing one of Kelly's friends who is an ENT. We had to fill out those forms when we were doing the DPA, and you had to put your malpractice insurance. And for physical therapy, I'm under $300 a year. Under a year.
Under $300 a year.
A year for our malpractice insurance. That's how good we are.
By the way,
Just kidding.
that's another thing, because malpractice is all based on risk. So you can understand the difference in risk between going what we do, chiropractic, physical therapy,
yes.
acupuncture, and occupational therapy. My malpractice is about $1,600
a year,
A
right?
year.
Yeah. Versus, a neurosurgeon.
170,000.
Her ENT, she's ENT and plastics. And I saw what she wrote down was $90,000 a year is her malpractice.
$90,000 a year.
And this was pre-COVID. So this was 5, 6, 7 years ago,
Yep.
So it's just like, it's true, and it's scary what it's going to come down to, because, I already see, I have a lot of people in my family that are teachers, and I already see them like trying to steer their kids away from teaching because, it's not what it used to be, right?
Absolutely.
And now I'm in the medical field, and I'm a physical therapist. I love what I do. But I've tried to guide my daughter, who wanted to go into the medical field, to go like more physician's assistant, nurse practitioner, because not only, she has a job that's guaranteed, which I have a job guaranteed for the rest of my life. If I want to do PT into my 80s, I could do PT into my 80s.
Yep.
But as far as like reimbursement and job security and financial wellness, I'm trying to gear her more towards something like that, where they are getting paid better, because a lot of them are, like you said, in the hospitals and appreciated more financially.
Well, no, I mean, again, you're going to be working your behind off. Now, where the medical profession used to really kind of brew the brightest, the greatest and the brightest, because people had a nice living when you became a doctor, right? You drive a nice car, you made a nice living, you had a very nice house. That's not the case anymore.
No.
And so all the bright and like, why would they go into the medical field when they're going to come out with $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in debt and not be able to pay that off, let alone to be able to make a living? All while the people who are administering all this kind of stuff, they're making all the money. And it is quite frustrating, and it is a tough position for the physicians and the providers to be in, because the patients are upset with us.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Well, because at the end of the day, if now your insurance is only allowing $69, I have to increase your copay, because we can't open our front doors for $69.
Correct.
We can't, like our rent and overhead and the cost of our providers and our aides and all that stuff. You can't. So then now not only is that patient paying more for their insurance just to have coverage, now they're paying more out of pocket to come to each visit.
Correct.
And that's not us being greedy. And I will literally show them an explanation of benefits and be like, because your plan told us they would cover this, so your copay could be $20, but your plan is actually only paying this. So now your copay is $50. Do you know what I mean? Like, so now that patient coming 3 times a week is put out in that sense. And it's frustrating on all parts. It really is.
So again, this whole unfiltered, right? This is faux pas. We're talking about insurance, and we could be, who knows? It's just to kind of educate everybody as to kind of what's going on and why premiums are going up and where that money is going. And I just, it's almost, we feel bad, but we have to be able to keep my doors open in 100%. Order to be able to provide the service that we do. We actually do things quite uniquely over here at the Spine and Health Center, right? So we are not an in-network, high-volume practice, I'm trying to put it politely, where they're,
Unfiltered, Pete.
Unfiltered, right? So
unfiltered.
You're right.
We're not a mill.
We are not a mill. This is not a conveyor belt type of a system. So what we have found in our experience is that spending time with patients and giving them the proper care actually renders results, and people will actually get better. You may get 30 visits a year for your insurance plan. Let's say, one of the major carriers, 30 visits a year, even though they'll probably give us medical necessity issues after 5, but let's just put that aside. And what will happen is you go to these facilities that will accept your insurance because they've accepted rates and they're doing it up in volume. And what will happen is you'll be 30 people in the waiting room and 30 people in the back. There'll be 2 providers with aides who may or may not be licensed. And there's not enough time to provide any type of real therapy, real treatment for these patients. So they come in, they get a few things. If we want to talk about musculoskeletal in chiropractic and physical therapy and occupational, you get a little stim and heat, you go on the treadmill, then you do a little leg press, and then you go home. And I'm sorry, but that is not therapy. That
and
is
how
not
many times do you
rehabilitation.
get I'm like, you've done therapy before, and they're like, oh yeah, I've done therapy before, either that they're like, oh, it was great, or they're like, it didn't really work, or whatever. And then literally within 20 minutes of my evaluation, where I'm just starting, they'll be like, nobody ever did this. Nobody ever looked at my feet. Yeah. It's my back that bothers me. I'm like, yeah, but your feet are really messed up.
Yeah.
But like, you went to therapy for 30 visits and nobody looked at anything but your low back, and you're still in pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's beyond frustrating. And it's just, we had PT call us after he was working in a clinic that's very similar to ours. And the day that another facility bought them out and they became more of this like in-network mill, they were told specifically, you know, they were seeing, you know, 2 patients an hour, and they were told, so you are going to be seeing 4 to 6 patients an hour. And, you know, you're basically going to be sending them to us for injections and surgeries. Now, as a PT, my biggest thing is to get you away from that. Like, my goal is that you don't ever have to do an injection or a surgery unless it is literally when we drain everything of our talents and we've exhausted all of our skills. Right. That's the only thing left to get you out of pain.
That's always been my line. It's exhaust all your conservative options before you go there, because once you cut, you can't uncut.
Yeah. It's not get that patient in and send them. It's like
there is a time and a place. I have seen a patient for one visit, and I know immediately you need to go for surgery. And then I will see patients for 3 months, and I think you don't need it. I think you don't need it. But after 3 months, you need to go for surgery. Yeah. And then there's everything in between. And there's the right way to do this. And by the way, as I speak about this, the insurance companies will be happy with this, because you know, the way the world is right now, right into an MRI, right? An MRI is positive, right into surgery. No, what do we need an MRI for, right? Most people, we talk about herniated discs in the neck and the back. I sent you that thing yesterday, right?
That was hysterical with the red button.
I understand that most of you out there, if you are not doing what we do, you don't hear the term herniated disc all that much. And when you do, it's, wow, it's surgery, it's da-da-da-da. We hear it 50 times a day. And so we know that herniated discs are not such a devil anymore. We can live with herniated discs for the rest of our lives. We may never even have pain. You may never even know you have a herniated disc. So the objective diagnostic evidence on an MRI is not all that important sometimes. So what we want to do is we want to save the MRI. Right? There's no let's do some conservative therapy, because if you are improving both symptomatically and functionally with increased range of motion, increased strength, and decreased functional loss, then there's no reason to get an MRI.
Correct. And
I'm sure the insurance companies will love. Yeah, what's that?
We just saved the insurance company money.
There you go.
You're welcome. Pay us more for that.
Right? You're welcome. However, what is going on right now is immediately into the MRI, you're doing your conservative therapy just to justify the MRI, and then you're getting right into procedures which are obviously higher in cost, higher in risk. You know, some of them are minimally invasive, like injections, and others are surgery are much more invasive and much higher potential complications. But if we can avoid drugs and surgery, not only is it better for the patient and better for the world, it is actually cheaper too. It is a win-win-win-win-win. So when they capped us, as you said, they kind of hit the chiropractic, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and acupuncture first. When they capped us, they thought they were going to save all this money because, you know, our $100-something visits must have been killing them. Yep. What they found is that people started to bypass the conservative route and go straight into the more invasive and expensive routes. And so it really backfired on them quite a bit. They won't probably admit that, because here we are, we're still at the cap and we're still having some trouble. But the fact is, there's nothing that we do on the conservative side that doesn't really try to save people time, save people money, and save people unnecessary procedures and medications. And
I think the best part of that is that they capped us right after the whole like crisis with, obviously, you know, people overdosing on pain medication and stuff like that. So they decided to. I know.
I can't believe you did that now.
Reduce. You can only get so much pain meds, but then we're also going to cap the other disciplines that would holistically and more naturally reduce your pain. You know.
I mean, it is everything. I can't speak for physical therapy. For chiropractic, has not. We're not talking about. We're not anti-drug. I'm not anti-vax. We're not anti. We do this stuff conservatively and naturally first. And there is a time and a place. But when you talk about the opioid epidemic and how we got there, it was so absolutely unnecessary. And there are professions like physical therapy and occupational therapy and acupuncture and massage and chiropractic and yoga and so many holistic, you would call it, options that would have prevented the need for any of these types of medications, which we all know now what was going on with that. And yet, why are we inhibiting the ability for patients to come and see us?
Yeah.
So, but we got to get back. We'll get into that next time.
I agree.
Will we do it again next time?
Yes.
Did we get out what you needed to get out? Do you feel a little
bit?
I feel like we have more.
I feel a little better.
Did I get too involved?
No.
I feel like I did. I
don't think so.
First of all, when we talk about clinical genius, Keri is an absolute genius. She's an absolute guru. She is beyond just a physical therapist now. She runs this entire company as the vice president. There's nobody that knows more than you about this, really, we should be teaching seminars and stuff like that. But
that I do believe, because I feel like you and I both have a very similar background in starting our businesses. Prior to me being here, I did have my own home care business, and you had to figure out how to get paid for everything.
Correct.
Because I wasn't 10 people. You weren't 10 people. You were one person treating with a front desk. I was one person treating, driving my car
I had
around.
no front desk. The phone was in my pocket. I was cleaning the toilets. I was doing the x-rays. I was doing the ordering, billing.
I didn't know him 18 years ago.
Yeah, I was one of them little people too. So I still am. But no. There's a lot more information that we want to go into, and we'll probably do a couple of these probably with just the two of us, because I'm telling you, we can get this out there. We have to get this out there.
Yeah, and you should all know. You should really know what you're paying for and what you're getting out of it.
And I want you guys, whoever, I know we probably haven't built quite an audience just yet, but this one might actually get out there. We want comments back. Like, feel free. This is going to go on to YouTube. This is going to go on to Spotify. This is going to go on to Apple Podcasts. I want you guys to contact us and ask us questions.
We should just title it, Your Insurance is Fucking Bullshit. And maybe that would captivate somebody's attention to be like,
Wildly
wow,
Unfiltered.
I want to watch that one.
Right? I think
because if I saw that, I'd be like, oh, that's intriguing. What is that about?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, why is your insurance company fucking bullshit? Well, I mean, or like, why the fuck am I paying all this? And, these doctors are making so much money. Well, no, they're not.
Yeah.
Now we know. Yeah. Now you have a little tidbit. We just gave you a little tidbit, but there's an entire skyscraper worth of stuff that we're gonna give to you over these next couple of podcasts. I want to do like one every day.
I know there's
so much information.
She
got fired up. You guys got Keri fired up.
I do. I'm very passionate about this.
All right.
But thank you all for listening. If you're listening, eventually.
You're going to get it. I'm telling you, this is going to get all popular. But again, the highly trained, wildly unfiltered healthcare podcast, the no BS podcast for everything healthcare, including insurance. It's not going to always be insurance. It's going to be everything that has to do with healthcare, either the delivery of or the administration behind. I love it. From Keri, clinical genius and amazing VP extraordinaire, to Dr. Pete, we say thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.